Boxing Ego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. Got some more heavyweight news. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button and subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. Now, the heavyweight division definitely has a pulse. It's alive and well, and I'm thankful because growing up in boxing, this was the division. I could think of several boxers off the top of my head that had video games, right? Video games were real popular. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out on Nintendo, classic, all-time classic game. You had Evander Holyfield had a game, Real Deal. It was like Evander Real Deal Boxing or something. So the heavyweight division, aside from that, like movie roles, look at Tommy Morrison, rest in peace. He started doing well for himself. He looked the part. They put him in the Rocky movie, Rocky 5, which was actually one of the worst Rockies, but still. Hey, yo, Tommy, what do you mean? You trying to fight? But I'm glad, man. The heavyweight division was very lackluster and stagnant because the good thing, the beauty about some of the other divisions recently in the last couple of years is they're unpredictable, right? Luis Collazo in welterweight, like just look at welterweight. Luis Collazo knocked out a guy who was once beaten, Sammy Vasquez. Felix Diaz he was a late replacement and beat Sammy Vasquez when he was undefeated. You had Danny Garcia lose to Keith Thurman, lost his belt, he was undefeated, right? You have Kilbrook, Errol Spence. We don't know what's going to happen until the 27th of the month. You know what I mean? So it's not predictable. You can say, oh, Brooks going to beat his ass, Spence going to, but we have to see it. You know what I'm saying? And for the while, the heavyweight division wasn't like that. It was really the Klitschkos or bust. If you weren't a Klitschko, then you weren't winning. And that's just a testament to how dominant they were for a stretch of time. But now there's new blood. There's Joseph Parkers. There's guys like Deontay Wilder. There's guys like Luis King Kong Ortiz, Anthony Joshua, right? A ton of people. Speaking of Joshua, you guys clicked on the video. Let's get straight into it. Shout out to WBN. Link in the description in case you want to read the full exclusive and the full article. But they spoke with the IBF directly, the president, Daryl Peoples. I actually met him at the Golovkin-Jacobs fight, I believe. And they confirmed, the IBF confirmed last Thursday, May 11th, they received a request, an exemption or exception request from Matchroom, Eddie Hearn, Matchroom, on behalf of Anthony Joshua. So what that exception request is asking is if they could fight Klitschko a second time this year without being stripped of their belt, right? And I heard there's a high likelihood that the Klitschko rematch would happen, but obviously Klitschko, they said he's on, quote-unquote, what they say in the UK, on holiday, meaning he's on vacation after a tough fight. He's chilling with his family and his wife and kid and stuff like that. So he's going to make his decision if he wants to try to get back and get that rematch. I mean, after all, he was doing very good in those mid-rounds, and he might want it. You know what I mean? He might want to be like, man, I could beat this kid. I hurt him. I just let him off the hook or whatever. So it might happen. And I want to give my thoughts about this. Likely it'll be granted because when you've been in the business like Eddie Hearn, Matchroom, these guys have attorneys and lawyers and fighters, a big roster of fighters like Matchroom has. You kind of know the rules and you've been through it, you know what I mean? This is, in fact, this is not, Anthony Joshua is not the only IBF champion under Matchroom. I'm sure, I think Lee Selby is probably with Matchroom. I don't know. I might be off on that. But the bottom line is they have a roster of fighters, so they know the parameters and the protocols and what to do. That's my whole point. Now, it's good that they're going through the correct channels and the correct procedures. And on one end, I'm like, the first fight was an all-time classic to me. I thought that was a great heavyweight fight. You had people like Fox, Undisputed, and people that don't always talk about boxing, you know what I mean? And everybody was talking about the fight. It was trending after. It was a great fight. On one end, I'm like, as a man, after Klitschko put up a brilliant performance, you you want to be like, I want him to be able to, if he wants, to get a rematch. You know what I mean? That's only fair. Klitschko extended, even though he wasn't champion, he extended his legacy and his name to the young scrapper, Anthony Joshua, to participate. Plus, there's going to be a lot of money in it. So I can understand a rematch happening. Me personally, I don't have to see an immediate rematch, as great of a fight as that was, and that's because the boxing fan in me wants to see other matchups, fresh matchups, because at the end of the day, Klitschko has a chance, but if Klitschko loses, then, you know what I mean, what's next? Probably retirement. So I think Klitschko, he's still a threat, but I don't know if I want to see him in an immediate rematch. You know what I mean? I don't even think Danny Garcia and Eric Morales had an immediate rematch. I think they had competition maybe in between. But again, the first fight was good. It'll make a lot of money. 90,000 people were at the first fight in attendance at Wembley, so they might try to stretch it and capitalize the dollar. Plus, Eddie Hearn, from a marketing promoter standpoint, he already knocked out this guy. He already took his best shot and showed heart and got back up. So that's confidence, as opposed to fighting one of these other dudes for the first time, like Deontay Wilder or Joshua's #1 mandatory with the WBA, Luis King Kong Ortiz. Now that's the flip side of the coin. That's the part I don't like, because with all these promoters and fighters and stables and stuff, again, they know what they can and can't get away with. They know the procedure, they know the time frames. Oh, if we put in a medical request, like for example Kell Brook versus Errol Spence, they were able to test the waters. They, in my opinion, Matchroom, Kell Brook did not want to fight Errol Spence straight away, because if they did, then they would have just announced the fight last year, say, hey, he's healing, but we'll fight him. But instead, that's not what they were doing. If you go back and do the, like Kanye said, you ain't been doing the education. How, Sway? If you go back and do the education, you do the research, you'll remember Kell Brook was kind of, even though Errol Spence earned his shot at the #1 mandatory slot by knocking out Leonard Bundu, Kell Brook was kind of fronting him off, saying, oh, nobody's really knowing his name, and I want to fight Amir Khan, I want to fight Manny Pacquiao and stuff like that. And the fan pressure became so great, he couldn't land and agree with Amir Khan, which they haven't been able to agree for years. The Pacquiao fight, who knows? Pacquiao was fighting Jeff Horn, so he doesn't look like he's trying to fight any threat. And ultimately, he kind of ran out of options unless he was to move up. Floyd's in retirement, and if Floyd came back, he says, I'm only coming back for Conor McGregor. So who are you going to fight? Keith Thurman was fighting Danny Garcia. So who are you going to fight? You can either go up to 154, and it would make you look like a yellow belly because you all of a sudden don't want to fight a mandatory. But case in point, Matchroom, I don't think they initially wanted to fight. They wanted to test the waters and see what other fights they could get. And when they found out they couldn't get any, then they're like, we can either move up and look bad, or we can just sit down and fight and fight this kid. And then all of a sudden, you notice the tempo switched. When Kell Brook and Errol Spence was announced, now all of a sudden they're saying, oh, this is a good fight, and he's being praised in the U.S. But before, you were saying nobody even knew him. You know what I'm saying? But the point being is they were able to test the waters with Kell Brook and try to pursue other options in the meantime by getting that medical extension. Everybody knows that Kell Brook got his eye hurt versus Golovkin, so his IBF belt was kind of on hiatus, and Errol Spence had to wait, keep waiting, because they went through the proper channels and got the medical extension. And that's basically what we're seeing here, which is the part that I don't like, because Joshua has another belt that he just got, the WBA belt, and Luis King Kong Ortiz is his #1 mandatory, someone who was on a promotional pack with Matchroom, so they know him well, they know how to get in touch with him. But that's a fresh fight that I would love to see, and I would love to see King Kong get his shot. I think that's a pick'em fight, you know what I mean? Joshua, he has power, he has technique, he has a chance, but Luis King Kong Ortiz is a monster, and now he won't get his mandatory shot. Same thing with Kubrat Pulev. That is his IBF #1 mandatory, right? But he might get step aside money or pushed to the side, even though he's in that slot, to make way for Joshua-Klitschko too, which again, it's a bigger money fight. I understand the financials. I'm just saying, as a boxing fan, it sucks that these guys work so hard to get a #1 ranking, and they still don't even get the fights. You know what I mean? It's kind of what Golovkin went through at middleweight. He was #1 for Sergio Martinez or Miguel Cotto, and then they end up fighting each other, and he's still on the sideline. But hey, no, guys, wait. You know what I mean? Waiting for his opportunity. So it's like, what's the point of rankings? You know what I mean? The UFC had similar situations where, like, Conor McGregor had a belt at featherweight, and they just let him hold on to it. You know what I mean? He just got to hold on to it, fight at higher weights, fight Nate Diaz twice, get big paydays and big money fights. And all the featherweights, the Jose Aldos, the Frankie Edgars, all the guys at featherweight didn't get a shot. You know what I mean? He's holding the belt hostage. So it sucks that they have rankings in place, but there's chances and like little loopholes and exemptions and stuff that you can get. So if it's approved, then now you don't have to fight either your mandatories. You know what I mean? And it's all about knowing the process and procedure and stuff like that. Because if you remember, Tyson Fury beat Klitschko and they immediately stripped him. I don't know how that happened. I don't know if his people aren't as versed as Matchroom, but he got stripped ASAP. And that's how Anthony Joshua became a champion, because Tyson Fury got stripped of his IBF belt from when he beat Klitschko. This was before he failed for cocaine and stuff like that. They stripped him ASAP. And then Charles Martin and Glasgow, Glaskov or whatever his name is, they fought for the vacant IBF, and then Charles Martin won. Glaskov got injured, and then Charles Martin went on to lose to AJ and get knocked out by him, and that's how AJ became an IBF champion. So it's a lot of politics, and it's kind of like this game I'm starting to see. It's kind of who you know, politics, and just kind of waiting. Just because you're in #1 spot, you might be like an Errol Spence or Golovkin and have to wait forever to get that person, that champion, to fight you. They may not ever fight you. You know, you might lose to some. What if Joshua loses to Klitschko? You know what I'm saying? Then Kubrat Pulev is just ass out, because if Joshua loses to Klitschko already beat Pulev. You know what I'm saying? What if Pulev, he's #1, just because Klitschko beat him? That doesn't mean Joshua could beat him, because they're two different styles, two different people, two different chins, two different techniques and speeds and ring IQs and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So Kubrat Pulev might want to fight Joshua more than he wants to fight Klitschko again. I don't know. I'm just saying. So I don't know. That's the only downside to me, but that is the latest. I don't know. They have to see what Kubrat Pulev, because sometimes fighters like Luis Ortiz with the WBA, he's like, man, I don't want no step aside money. I want the fight. You know what I mean? So just a bunch of politics. We'll have to wait and see what happens. Link in the description. Let me know what you guys think. But I hope that, I like fresh matches. You know what I'm saying? And to me, Joshua-Klitschko was a very fun fight. Great fight. One of my favorite fights this year so far. But at the end of the day, we had a clear-cut winner. You know what I'm saying? And there was no controversy. It was, you know what I mean? It's not like a Ward Kovalev where who really won. It's not even like a Carl Frampton, Leo Santa Cruz kind of fight. And I thought Frampton clearly won, but there are some people that thought Santa Cruz won the first fight. You know what I mean? It wasn't like that. Klitschko got knocked out. So, and he wasn't a champion. So, I don't know. We'll see what he decides and what the IBF decides. That's the latest. Drop it in the comment section. Make sure you share the video. Like the video as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.